Hello everyone, wish you a good day with your family and relatives. Dear friends, will Ly Tu Diem be allowed by the government to adopt the child? What is your opinion on this issue? Please leave a comment. Will CEO Toan help her get permission to adopt the child? Light of Hope, CEO Toan took Ly Tu Diem to register their marriage to name the baby. The sun had barely risen, but the city was already stirring with quiet life. In the early morning light, Ly Tu Diem stood by the window of their new home, holding baby Lynn gently against her chest. Her heart was both calm and restless, like a river that had once stormed but now quietly flowed beneath a blanket of mist. She never imagined this moment, not after all she had been through. The betrayal, the pain of being sold, the struggle to survive, the shame she once carried like a shadow. And yet here she was in a quiet room filled with warmth, safety, and love. Behind her, CEO Toan entered silently. He had never looked more peaceful, his sharp eyes softened by love as he watched Diem rocking the child that had brought them together. Lynn stirred in her arms, blinking her sleepy eyes, unaware of the miracle her tiny presence had become. "Are you ready?" Toan's voice was gentle. Diem turned slowly, nodding. "Yes, for her, I am." That morning, they drove together to the city hall. Diem's hands trembled slightly as she filled out the form. Toan squeezed her hand beneath the desk, grounding her. When it came time to write the child's name, they both hesitated, then looked at each other. "Toan Lynn," Diem whispered, "let her carry both of us in her name. A light born from pain, and love born from nothing." Toan smiled, his eyes moist, perfect. And then, together, they signed the final line of the marriage certificate. It wasn't just about formality, it was a commitment, a promise to raise this child not as to individuals bound by duty, but as a family stitched together by something deeper than fate. Outside, the sky was bright now, the light filtered through clouds like gentle blessings. As they stepped down the marble steps with baby Lynn cradled in Diem's arms, people passed by without knowing that a miracle had quietly unfolded inside. Diem looked up at Toan, the man who had once been a stranger, then a savior, and now her husband. He reached over and fixed her scarf, like he had done 100 times before, in silence and care. "I never thought I'd have a real family," Diem said softly. Toan smiled, wrapping his arm around both her and the baby. "You do now, and no one will take it away." They didn't need a grand wedding or applause. In that quiet act of registering their love and naming their daughter, they had lit a fire of hope, not just for themselves, but for anyone who had ever been lost in the dark. Because sometimes, hope begins not with fireworks but with a pen, a signature, and a heart brave enough to believe again. And that morning, hope had a name: Toan Lynn. But even the most peaceful skies must face clouds. One afternoon, as Diem was folding baby clothes in the living room, a knock echoed from the gate. She looked up, sensing something off. Moments later, the housekeeper hurried in. "Madam, a woman is here. She says she's Mr. Toan's sister." Diem's heart skipped. Stepping outside with Lynn still in her arms, Diem met the sharp gaze of a well-dressed woman standing by the garden. She was tall, poised, and carried the kind of confidence only years of privilege could build. Her eyes narrowed when they landed on Diem and then softened only slightly when they moved to the baby. "You must be Ly Tu Diem," the woman said, voice cool. "I'm Toan's sister in Gokmai." Diem nodded respectfully. "Yes, please come in." Inside, Ngokmai sat without taking off her sunglasses. Her gaze swept the house, elegant but warm, not extravagant. She looked at Diem, then the child, then back at Diem. "I heard the news," she said calmly. "Toan adopted a child, married a woman with no background, and didn't tell me a word." Diem sat across from her, baby Lynn now asleep in her arms. It wasn't meant to be a secret. We just followed our hearts. Everything happened so fast. Ngokmai let out a soft laugh, cold and slightly bitter. You think life allows fast. This family has a reputation, responsibilities, and my brother is not just anyone. You were found in a forest, no records, no family. How do I know this isn't a carefully played card? Diem's face paled, but she didn't look away. I understand why you'd be cautious. I would be, too, but I didn't ask Toan for anything. He was the one who insisted on helping, and Lynn. This child was left in a basket, abandoned in the cold. We couldn't turn our backs on her, and Ngokmai stood up. I won't pretend to accept this easily. You married into this family quietly, and now you're raising a child with our name. I'll be watching. She turned to leave, but before she did, she paused. Her voice softened, barely. I love my brother like a son. I raised him when our parents passed. I just want to protect him. The child. She's innocent. Don't hurt her, or him. Then she was gone. That evening, Toan returned home to find Diem quieter than usual. She didn't mention the visit at first, but he could read her like the palm of his own hand. When she finally told him, he didn't say much. Just pulled her and Lynn into a long, protective hug. She'd come around, he whispered. She has a good heart, buried under years of control. Let's be patient. Diem nodded against his chest. She didn't need anyone's approval, but she hoped deeply that one day, Lynn would be embraced by the whole family, not just the hearts that had chosen her. Because family isn't just blood. It's love, sacrifice, and the quiet strength to stay even when others walk away. And Diem had learned that real love is never afraid to be tested. The days after Ngokmai's visit felt longer than usual. Although she didn't say much, her words echoed in Diem's mind like an old wound reopened. Every time Lynn cried, Diem feared someone might take her away. Every time Toan smiled, she wondered how long they could protect their fragile happiness. Toan, ever the steady anchor, tried to lift Diem's spirits. He took her and Lynn out for morning walks in the garden, read baby stories in the evenings, and even attempted clumsily to cook her favorite soup. Yet beneath his calm exterior, Diem could see the weight he carried. He loved his sister, but he also loved the family he was now building with her. Then one afternoon, the unexpected happened. Ngokmai returned, but this time, she wasn't alone. She came with a mantle, with graying temples and kind eyes. Her husband, they entered the house quietly, almost uncertain. Diem held Lynn close, but didn't retreat. She stood near the window, watching as Toan greeted them. We didn't come to argue, Ngokmai said first, avoiding Diem's gaze. I came because I've been thinking. The man beside her stepped forward. I'm in. I've heard about your story, Ly Tu Diem. My wife, she speaks sternly, but I know she's worried. About her brother, about the child. Diem nodded. I understand. Ngokmai took a breath, clearly struggling with what she wanted to say. I did some digging, she confessed. Found the hospital report, the orphanage's file, even the bakery lady who saw you with the baby that morning. Diem tensed. I didn't steal her. I know. Ngokmai interrupted, voice steadier now. You didn't. You could have left her. But you didn't. A silence fell. Then, something unexpected. Ngokmai walked toward Lynn, slowly, gently. She reached out and Diem, though still unsure, allowed her to hold the child. She has your eyes, Toan, Ngokmai whispered, smiling for the first time. Or maybe I just want her to, Lynn giggled, tiny hands gripping Ngokmai's necklace. It was a small sound, but it broke years of distance. Later that evening, they all sat around the dinner table. The house felt warmer, brighter, less like a battlefield and more like a home. Over tea, Ngokmai finally spoke again. Family isn't just about what we inherit. Sometimes it's about what we choose. And today, I choose to welcome yours, Toan, Diem, and baby Lynn. Tears welled in Diem's eyes. She had fought so hard for her dignity, her freedom, her baby, and now, her place in a family. As Toan reached for her hand, she realized something simple but powerful. This wasn't just a light of hope anymore. It was the beginning of a future shared, accepted, and finally, whole. Life lesson from Light of Hope. In the quiet moments between heartbreak and healing, we often discover the most powerful lessons. The story of Ly Tu Diem and CEO Toan reminds us that family is not always defined by blood. It is defined by love, sacrifice, and the courage to stand by each other when the world turns away. Diem came from pain, rejection, and silence. Toan came from privilege, but also loneliness. Together, they found purpose not just in each other, but in the abandoned baby girl who brought light into their lives. They didn't choose this path because it was easy. They chose it because love gave them no other option. One of the most touching lessons we learn is that healing takes time, and sometimes it takes being truly seen and accepted by those who once doubted us. Ngokmai's change of heart shows us that even hardened hearts can soften when they're touched by innocence and truth. Most importantly, we learn that doing the right thing often comes with fear, doubt, and sacrifice. But when we act with compassion and courage, we don't just change our own lives, we begin to rewrite the stories of others. Let this story be a reminder. Hope is fragile, but when nurtured by love, it becomes unbreakable.